Shane Smith and Lynn Fernie. Welcome to Daily Extra. Can you tell us what some of the must-see LGBT films are?
It's a good year. There's a lot of good stuff this year. Everything from Strike a Pose, about Madonna's backup dancers on the Blond Ambition Tour, Behind the Curtain, to see what it was like then and now for them.
There was a whole other backstage, that you didn't get to see, that none of us were ready to talk about.
And it's hard because this is the first time, so...
Southwest of Salem, an amazing documentary about a miscarriage of justice. 4 lesbians in Texas sentenced to prison for a crime they did not commit, and deep dive into what happened to them. Thankfully, they're free. Spoiler alert. The Pearl of Africa is a great one about a Ugandan activist where it's not safe to be transgender or queer at all, and her love story with her partner of 10 years. So beautiful love story.
And Lynn, what about some of the Canadian LGBT films?
I'll tell you, the interesting thing about the Canadian films this year is that rather than long-form features about a gay subject, we have a lot of films with gay subjects in other features.
Amazing.
Which is really exciting. It means that we have colonized everywhere. I think for everyone who loves Hollywood, who loves musicals, who loves Julie Garland, you have to see The Slippers. Okay. Morgan White, Toronto filmmaker, has done it, and it's a romp through the wardrobes, the costumes, kind of led off with what happened with the costumes in The Wizard of Oz and the magic of the ruby slippers. There's theft, there's jealousy, there's conspiracies.
There are a couple in the festival that really blew my mind because they are so unexpected. One of them is called Check It. It's about a gang of LGBT queer youth in Washington, D.C. who formed as a result of bullying from other gangs. They live in low income, they're at-risk youth, but they got together and they take no shit. And then there's a film called Tickled, and all I can say about that, 3 words: competitive endurance tickling.
Yeah.
It's an incredible, incredible story of internet bullying, of crime. It's a true crime story. It's an investigative journalism story.
I've had phone calls come in, we'll kill you.
It's insane.
We've been spotted.
We have a beautiful, beautiful film shot in Algeria, in Constantine, the ancient city, where 3, I must say, very beautiful young men talk about life there. They could never be out. It's completely illegal and very seriously punished. But they take you through the streets into the male-only cafe society. And as the film builds, it's so beautifully made, you begin to realize that these aren't young straight boys, that these are young gay boys with a lot of desire for one another, that they sort of talk about, and by the end of it is the fact that they have to be so repressed. The entire film is drenched with it. So it's a beautiful film by Quebec director Raymond Provencher. And I would say, if it would take you into the most magical city. You'll be calling your travel agent.
Speaking of drenched with it, there are a couple of sexy films in the festival too.
Okay.
The Sex Temple takes a look into a gay man who's trying to restore and run an old theater in Denmark, in Copenhagen. And he does that by introducing a little burlesque show and then renting out the basement to a heterosexual sex club. So there's queer burlesque and stage shows happening upstairs, and there's a straight sex club in the basement. So their interaction and their adventures are something to be seen. And then you won't want to miss Hattie Goes Cruising, which is a great story of, I think he's 70-plus-year-old man who takes us through his adventures cruising. Lots of photos, lots of dick pics in this one, but it's a really lovely story about freedom and sexuality and navigating your desire, particularly in the 60s and 70s as a black man in New York. So some great stuff to see.